Hi there, hope you're doing well today. My name is Corey and I have made a little presentation to essentially allow you to get the most out of your email marketing for your e-commerce store. And I'm going to be putting out a lot of these types of videos. Essentially, we're an agency and we do this for loads of our clients. This is the only service that we do. So I wanted to, try and help out as many other e-commerce stores as possible. And should be doing these pretty often. So obviously, if this is something that you feel like you would enjoy, or you run an e-commerce store, don't forget to hit subscribe below and leave a comment as well. And let's get into it. So for this video, we're going to be going over the feature within Klaviyo that allows you to find the best time to be sending email campaigns to your list. And let's just get into it. So first of all, why should you even care about the best time to send email? Why not just send an email whenever you like, or when you think maybe it would be the best time to send? So at the end of the day, obviously this is your business, it's your brand, it's your store, and it's up to you essentially at the end of the day to make every single marketing channel as efficient and optimized as possible, right? So obviously, there's no point just, being all lackadaisical and sending things whenever. I'm sure that's not the type of business that you'd like to run, and you would like to be getting as much out of every marketing channel as possible. And with email, when you're emailing your customers at the best window of time, the likelihood of getting an open is much higher. Okay, and when I say much higher, I mean it doesn't have to be necessarily even that much higher from a percentage perspective, but when we're talking about email segments and different segments that you have, there could be a much difference between a couple percentage of a couple percentages of an open rate. So obviously, as I say, it increases the likelihood of an open, and therefore the likelihood of a click and an order as well, because that's how email typically is. It's all just kind of a funnel going through from open to click to order. As I say, it's all about the extra few percentage points with email marketing. So obviously, it could be the difference between 1,000 opens and obviously this would be kind of a small one, but 1,000 opens versus 1,100 opens. You could get an extra 100 opens just by sending at a better time, which could lead to a lot more revenue. Obviously, if you have 50,000 people in a segment and you're getting 2% extra, a 2% higher open rate because you're sending at the proven best time, you're going to get potentially thousands more opens, right? Which could lead to thousands or hundreds of more clicks. And obviously that leads to more orders as well. It saves also your emails from being hidden by other brands who are emailing all at the same time. So, if you're in the US, a lot of brands probably think there's a certain best time to send. Maybe it's 8 p.m., right? Or 7 p.m. or something, where they think everyone's finished work and whatnot. But maybe that isn't the case. Maybe with your niche, it's different. And it's best not to assume. It's best just to test these things. It will likely be different optimal. It'll likely be a different optimal time for each audience segment. So obviously here we're trying to gather every drop of revenue out of every single audience. So your VIP customers, for example, people who have spent 3 to 5 times your average order value, they maybe have an optimal send time of 4 p.m., but you're 90-day engaged, maybe they respond better at 8 p.m. Okay, so don't blast all of your segments at the same time. Higher open rates does mean more sales, pretty much 95% of the time, unless you've tricked them in the subject line or something, and then obviously it wouldn't change the click rate, but I'm sure you're not doing that, so no need to worry about that. And as I say, as I said in the last slide, a 3% higher open rate could lead to hundreds or thousands of extra opens. And obviously I don't need to explain what the benefit of that would be for your brand. So kind of a note here, if you're using this feature, and this is within Klaviyo, which is what I would suggest you use if you are running an e-commerce store. I'll probably make another video about all the ESPs that you could do or that you could use. But I personally think Klaviyo is the best for e-commerce. So for this feature, you would need an email list of at least 12,000 to use Smart Send Times. And obviously, if yours is smaller than that, then you would need to do this process manually, and I can make a video on how to do that as well. But yeah, obviously, a segment would need to have at least 12,000 contacts for this to work. And obviously, if you don't do that, this won't work for you. But, nonetheless, most agencies don't do this, okay? I know a lot of them, and, they can be really just kind of sporadic with the split test. So, it could be 3 p.m. versus 9 p.m. and then the next time they'll test another random time, and it's all just kind of all over the place. And ultimately, they don't even really know whether their test is conclusive. They try to test every combination, and ultimately wasting split tests that could be used on call to actions, more call to actions, bigger buttons, different colors, angle of the copy that you're doing, static images versus GIFs within the email itself, maybe video testimonial versus image testimonial, like these types of things, because once you've done this process, you won't need to split test times anymore. And, as I say, frees you up to test other things that will bring more of an ROI. So yeah, Smart Send Time is the most efficient way to find the best send time. But, how does it work, essentially? So Klaviyo, they're actually pretty open about this. A lot of ESPs are not. They don't want to tell you how they do it. There's some secret algorithm, secret source. Ultimately, they just don't want to tell you. But with Klaviyo, it's very scientific, and it's very easy to see how it works and why it's the best way to do things. So essentially, this is kind of a breakdown of how it happens. So imagine this block here that I've broken up into 24 segments. This would be your audience segment. Okay, so maybe this is your VIPs, or maybe it's your past purchasers, whichever. The audience segment will be broken up into 24 random segments, and they will be random. And your email campaign, it essentially would be sent to each segment at every hour, and this would start at midnight. So the test would begin at midnight, and then it would go from midnight to midnight the next day, and it would send the same campaign to each different segment. So you'll get this type of graph, essentially. So as you can see, starts at 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and you can clearly see a trend in open rate. So from this, you could see this is kind of conclusive, and it's almost like this is what an agency would do manually, but doing it like this, it's just done in a much more efficient way, and obviously there's less human error involved as well. So a side note here, the number of sends, and as I say, this initial process, this is called an exploratory send, and this is just to try and find the general best times at which you get the highest open rate, but it's not going to be conclusive after one. If you have an audience size of higher than 72,000, I don't know how they come up with this specific number, but if you happen to have a size, an audience that large, you would only take one send for them to figure this out, obviously, because there would be 3,000 people in each single hour, each segment, so it's going to be pretty conclusive. But obviously, if you only have, say, 12,000, you may have to do it up to 4 or 5 times for this process to work. And obviously, smaller segments will take more time. So that's step 1, and that's called an exploratory send. Step 2, this is what Klaviyo does next. This is called a focused send. So after that initial phase, Klaviyo will try and pinpoint the hour that's best to send a little bit clearer. So as you can see here, it's between 7 and 11, somewhere in this time. That is where the focus send will be worked out and will be sent to. In step 2, and you can kind of see why it's done this. It clearly has the most opens around this sort of time, but it could be a bit of a what's the word? It may not be the correct actual time at the moment because it's not too sure. So the next stage, obviously what it will do is it will split your campaign, and this would be a different campaign. So you would have to do a different campaign for this. It would be split into thirds in this situation. So your audience would be split into thirds, and then a third of the segment will be sent at, say, 7. Another third will be sent at 9, and then another third will be sent at 11. And this is based on the fact that 9 was the winner during the exploratory send, but it's still not quite sure. So it's going to send some to a bit before, some to a bit after, and then it will send some again during the optimal hour. During the what was discovered during step 1 at least. So yeah, that's kind of how that would work. And then how Klaviyo will do this is it will figure out the best winner from those 3 sends of those 3 segments there, and then it could be the case that it's a different segment, a different time to the winner of step 2, step 1, sorry, but it's likely, to be honest, that it's probably going to be the overall winner from step 1 that will win, but it may not always be the case. We've seen it with our clients where that isn't the case. So it is important to obviously do that step 2 and figure out the actual direct best time. So once the optimal time is discovered, you can begin using this to send campaigns to your audience. And obviously you would just need to repeat this process for every segment. So maybe you have a VIP segment. Obviously you would need to have 12,000 people in there. Past purchasers, maybe you do it based off your location, so all of your US customers potentially, and then maybe you'd have an audience in, Australia, and you would want to do a different test for them, and maybe your 90-day engaged will have a different time. So you would do this for each segment, and you'll do this to find the winning time for that segment. And obviously this will give you a perfect time to send to every single segment. And as I say, it just frees you up to then be able to split test other things instead of having to split test the time, which is not really needed, to be honest with you. And ultimately, this is how you'll take your store's email revenue from where it's at currently to the 30% plus mark, right? Which is what we go for, and is a good, strong metric that we try to reach with all of our clients, because, as long as you're doing all these little tiny things, and it may seem like small things in the beginning, but as I say, every little percentage helps with email. If you're getting an extra 1 or 2% open rate, that could lead to much more revenue there. So as I say, don't forget to do this. It is super important, and it's just much more clean and efficient than trying to do this yourself. And obviously when you're ready to send campaigns to a segment, how it will work is you will see, there's a little GIF here, you will see when you are ready to send the time, you'll see the optimal time here based off the results, and then it will just auto send for you there. And yeah, that's kind of how that works. With Klaviyo, it's very straightforward once you know what to do, but obviously it's a bit tedious in terms of the actual practicalities of it. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of that. Obviously there is a bit more that we could go over, but we don't like to go too long for these videos. I'm going to try and keep them about 15 minutes or so. Yeah, and obviously if you do run an e-commerce store yourself, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this video, ultimately I would suggest to just save yourself the headache of learning to be an email expert and apply to work with my agency, and the link is in the description below, because obviously there's a lot of things involved with running an e-com brand, and trying to become a master of everything is probably a bit futile, and you're ultimately just best leading the ship in a good direction and letting someone else come in and handle these things for you. So I do implore you to book a call with me below if you run an e-com store, and if you're looking to make an extra 30% of revenue from email, and you just don't have the time to do this yourself. So yeah, as I say, book a call with me below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.